Yo, what's up, my people? Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I super duper appreciate it. I'm going to be starting a brand new series discussing line movements for all the UFC fights, seeing what drastic line movements we see. Is it sharp? Is it steam? Is there tips that tip in it? And we just discuss the lines from a betting perspective. Also, these lines are very much subject to change, right? So at the moment, I'm recording this on Tuesday, but by Saturday, the lines might have completely changed. So just keep that in mind, guys. And thank you so much for 122 subs. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, you enjoyed this concept, please like and comment and sub. Anyways, without further ado, let's get right into it. So huge line movement on Jonathan Martinez here. I mean, I was a little bit surprised by how much the line moved, because on Monday, he went from 1.83 down to 1.61, which is a drastic line movement. To move a line that much and to that extent, there had to be a lot of sharp money. I think a few tipsters tipped him, but that's probably not enough to move a line to that extent, 20 to 25 points. I think some very sharp money came in on Jonathan Martinez, and I can definitely see why. All the metrics, and I'm definitely leaning towards him in this matchup. So yeah, I can see why some money came in on Jonathan. Well, some big money came in. I think the steam is probably justified, but it's probably going to be a very competitive fight, and both guys are highly skilled. So yeah. Next, Team Brazil parlay piece of steam. So all these fighters: Petrino, KAIO, Pereira, BONFIM, LUCINDO. All these fighters all happen to be Brazilian. They all have favorable matchups, and they all got steamed. I think people are putting these guys into parlays, adding them up to certain plays to boost up the odds. And you know, I can't really argue with it, because I do believe these fighters have a good chance of winning. Of course, the risk factor is usually, in most circumstances, there's always an upset or two. So you have to kind of ponder and think, which fighter here is going to let me down. But yeah, Team Brazil parlays. Probably, I think the move is probably justified. People like making their parlays, two-teamers, and yeah. Big steam move here from Mauricio RUFFY. He opened 1.65, and then some money came in on MULLARKEY, which pushed the odds up to 1.87. Probably a dummy move to boost up the odds on RUFFY. Now it's just been steady action on Mauricio RUFFY throughout the whole week. Now he's down to 1.58. It's just been one-way action. There's hardly been any MULLARKEY money come in, and I could kind of see it because probably is the justified favorite in the spot. People are very low on MULLARKEY at the moment. MULLARKEY's stock is at all-time low. RUFFY, his stock is probably at all-time high after his performance at Dana White Contender Series. Of course, there's some risk factors in this fight. MULLARKEY's a dog. He could come forwards, make it a brawl. And also, it's RUFFY's first time moving down to 155, so that's another thing to consider. But yeah, I see why some sharp money is coming in on RUFFY. I think that action is going to continue to come in on RUFFY. Maybe a little bit of buyback on MULLARKEY, but I don't see it personally. Obviously, line movements are very tricky to predict, but I don't see it going back to pick and anything like that. So yeah. Next, we have line movement battles. So we got some line movement back and forth action here on GOMIS versus Gene Silva. Gene Silva opened a dog. Money came in straight away. I totally see it. Of course, he's a little bit unproven. GOMIS is a very solid fighter, but Gene Silva, he looks like a very exciting, talented fighter, and I see why the initial steam move came in on him. And he got down to as low as 1.57. And that was probably a bit too wide of a line, because GOMIS is a very solid striker. He has a very good chance of winning this fight. So money came back in on GOMIS. Of course, this fight's in Brazil, so if it goes to a decision, the fights are kind of very competitive. Then Gene Silva's probably got the better chance of winning a decision. But yeah, some back and forth action here on this fight. I see why. I think it's a very well matched fight, and pretty hard one to predict. And I don't see the line moving too much more. Maybe a little bit more money comes in on Gene Silva, but I can't see Gene Silva getting to anything too crazy like 1.40 or anything like that, because GOMIS is very solid and he's got a good chance of winning this fight. Now we've got a big steam movement on the favorite with a tiny bit of buyback. So OROLBAI opened 1.52, which has been steady money coming in on him. He reached 1.47 again, So some sharp money came on the BRENER. I know a few tipsters on BRENER myself, but as soon as he hit that point of 1.47, bang, money came pouring back in on OROLBAI. Obviously, people think he should be the favorite here. Of course, he's moving down to 155 for this matchup. He normally fights at 170, but I could definitely see it with the grappling path. OROLBAI's got a little bit of aura, and I don't see the line moving too much more like this. I think the line, maybe a little bit more money comes in OROLBAI, where he makes weight. If he misses weight, for instance, then you might see a little bit of buyback on BRENER. But yeah, I think the money's going to keep coming on OROLBAI. I think he closes around 1.33, similar sort of price around here, 1.37. Now we've been having some fight backs on the line, some back and forth action here. So DRAKKAR close opened 1.71. All the money's been coming on a DRAKKAR close, which I get. I do believe this is a fairly good matchup stylistic for him. Got to around 1.52. I was thinking, yeah, like the DRAKKAR close money's going to keep coming in, but there's been some action coming on JOAQUIM Silva, which I'm actually quite surprised about because I don't see many people actually picking JOAQUIM Silva in this matchup. All I see online from other cappers, tipsters, it's all just been DRAKKAR close action. So I wonder what type of action, what type of movement, who could be making this move on JOAQUIM Silva. It's probably some respective action to be able to move the line significantly. So yeah, we've got some sharp action on both sides of the spectrum. Personally, I'm going to lean towards the DRAKKAR close side. But yeah, anyways, next one, justified steam move. So BRITO open 1.83, and there's just been steady action coming in on him. And I probably think this is probably justified steam move. Of course, Jack Shaw's a good fighter, but I do believe this is probably quite a favourable matchup for Joanderson BRITO, and I see why the money's been steadily coming in. You briefly went up to 1.66, and then the money just poured back in on Joanderson BRITO. So the market is agreeing with Joanderson BRITO being a favourite, and I think he probably closes around a similar sort of price. New champion. So in championship fights, I think laying heavy prices on the favourite is very risky stuff because both guys tend to be quite well matched. Nobody's champ forever, and the money's just been steadily coming in on Steve Erceg. I can see why. Obviously, there's a little bit of unknowns with the takedown defense, the grappling, etc. But Steve Erceg's a pretty solid fighter, and in this fight, I'd only bet the Steve Erceg side as a big underdog. So I see why the money's coming in. I think there's some sharp money on Steve Erceg as well. I know a few guys who are on the Steve Erceg side, and I totally get it. And the line movement is justified. Pantoja, of course, you have to have as a favourite, but at plus 200, 3.15, 3.0, plus 200, I think the line was a tad bit wide, and I do believe there's a little bit of value on the Steve Erceg side, and he could possibly become the next champion. So, anyways, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Super do appreciate it. If you enjoyed this concept, you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, maybe leave me a comment if you're feeling generous. Make sure to subscribe for more content like this. Thank you once again. Yeah, really appreciate it.